Welcome to EFT Nation, your home for all things tapping. For show notes and resources, please visit EFTtappingtraining.com. We are your tapping hosts. I'm Alina Frank.
And I'm Craig Wiener. The information provided in this podcast is not a substitute for counseling or medical advice. The information presented here is meant to inspire and educate listeners, but are not guarantees of any kind.
Well, now.
That sounds ominous.
Today's topic. Toxic positivity and spiritual bypassing.
Ooh, that sounds like a hot button kind of topic to me.
It is. And I was on one of the popular apps out there where they have all kinds of meditation and guided imagery and bedtime stories. And so lo and behold, I came across a bunch of tapping, quote unquote, that claims it is EFT. And I'm here to say that is not EFT. And I was also on TikTok and found some tapping, and again, claiming to be EFT. That is not EFT.
Okay, who are you, and what is and what isn't, and what did you listen to? There
was a lot of toxic positivity and spiritual bypassing, and I thought, okay, now the time is come that we really must discuss this. And it's been up a lot in the last year with COVID. There have been a number of articles, Psychology Today, and even some of the mainstream publications out there are all covering these topics.
Okay, we need to
define
these a little bit. So
yeah.
So I can be clear. I might have a thought to what they are, but let's just get some clarity first.
Okay.
So the idea of which one would you like to do first? I'll give you the choice.
I think I put them together in this one podcast episode because at the core they're sort of the same thing. They each minimize and invalidate authentic, unique human emotional expression, and they're both forms of denial.
So in toxic positivity, we're not saying that being a positive person is bad, are we? If somebody tends to see the bright side of things as they look to the lessons in their life, as they intend or hope to create, better, brighter things in their life, are you saying that that's wrong, being positive?
No.
Okay,
I'm definitely not saying that.
So what is toxic positivity then?
Toxic positivity is the erroneous idea or mindset that despite being in a very challenging situation, that you should stay positive. Mm-hmm. One should stay positive above all else. Like the mantra out there is positive vibes only. Mm-hmm. Right?
So this is interesting because when I hear that, I think, okay, I know some people like that, or that I observe that I think are like that.
Right.
And you know what? It's kind of like they can do what they want. Maybe that works for them. I don't know. Who am I to say? Where I've noticed it feels toxic is when they share it in a certain way, like I should be like that, or others should be like that, or others should take that on. That's where, to me, it starts to feel like the toxicity part comes on.
Sure. So like a family member who makes you feel bad for expressing that you're not in a good place, or they tell you to, just get over it. Mm-hmm. That's a toxic positivity sign.
I'm actually thinking of somebody recently that created something in their life that they have some second thoughts about, that they had mixed feelings about.
Right.
And all the people around them that were close were saying, "Oh my God, why are you feeling bad about it? You should be so proud. It's so good." It was not acknowledging the point of what they were feeling in that moment about it.
Yeah.
And that really breaks rapport. That makes one feel bad about oneself. It makes one not want to share. Right. It makes one feel vulnerable and wrong for feeling what they're feeling.
Yep. So if a friend who another form of toxic positivity is your friend that's always posting, their trips and being productive and life always being perfect and telling you to stop being so negative.
Mm-hmm. you should look to the bright side of life.
Yes, always look. Isn't that like a Monty Python?
It is. Good catch.
Okay, so a colleague who says always look on the bright side of life, or
It could be worse.
It could be worse. How about guilt and shame that you feel yourself for feeling bad?
Well, that's the result of this kind of toxic positivity. It's
Yeah.
like, wow, I shouldn't be feeling this, yet I am. So now,
Right.
not only do I feel sad or bad about this, now I feel shame that I'm feeling this negative emotion about this. And then I start to move, well, that's just who I am. I'm just a
Yeah.
bad person. I mean, you could just see where that goes.
Sure. So, and the pressure that one feels to always look like they're under control, they're making their best COVID, hashtag best COVID life. You know what I'm saying? That's why it came out last year as, no, stop making people feel bad for being unproductive. Stop making people feel bad for not starting the most amazing home project or gardening or baking or whatever it was, because we just have to acknowledge what is, and that is the power of EFT. So when you're doing that toxic positivity stuff, you're really pushing down your real authentic emotions. You're judging yourself for feeling these negative feelings like anger, sadness, fear, or just feeling numb. The negative emotions will, I guarantee you, will show up somewhere else.
It's like emotional whack-a-mole.
Like emotional whack-a-mole, or like sometimes I think that it's it's like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich where all the negative things that you're feeling are just in it, that peanut butter and jelly. You just packed that sandwich to just like packed it, and then you smush it, you step on it, it just oozes out. So it'll ooze out somewhere else, and it'll be sticky and messy, and it takes forever to get off your hands or your feet.
That's a unique analogy, and I get it.
Okay. So
yelling
yelling at your kids, or like drinking too much, or like spending too much money on things that you don't need, or it'll show up, kind of worst of all, in your body. If you don't pay attention to the things that you're feeling negative about, guess what? It'll show up in your body.
So this toxic positivity is both something that I can kind of fall susceptible to.
Yeah.
Watching, Instagram influencers thinking I should be doing this and now feeling like I should. So I'm not going to focus on the negative.
Right.
I'm going to just pretend it's not there. I'm going to just focus on this positive to the point that it's destructive and it's inauthentic and it's not honest. Because the negative emotions are there.
Right.
I mean, that's what EFT is all about, isn't it? Is it really about acknowledging what's there under the surface so that we can truly free ourselves from that and not just stuff it in between the two slices of bread?
Exactly. So next, let's talk about, let's talk about spiritual bypassing, because I think that people, might need a definition of that.
I think so.
Okay.
I'd like one.
All right, so spiritual bypassing is the tendency to use spiritual ideas and practices to sidestep unresolved emotional issues.
Help me understand further. I need an analogy or what.
Okay, so saying that we're all one human race. I don't see color.
Okay.
That anger is always harmful. That reminds me of when I was, I believe I was in my 20s when Way of the Peaceful Warrior came out.
Sure, Dan Millman's.
There was such a great scene where the mechanic, whoever it was,
Socrates. Hello.
Exactly. Yes, Socrates. There was a van full of people coming from some meditation retreat, and he just pissed them off just to have them see that you could just barely scratch the surface. It was all just surface happiness and peace.
Okay, and the spiritual part of the spiritual bypassing. So the spiritual part it's not just kind of about a small event. It's about your role in the world.
Yeah, right.
About finding peace or transformation.
Right.
So somehow it has meaning within one's spiritual dimension of oneself as a soul or a being. And the bypassing part is what?
You're bypassing trauma. You're bypassing those negative emotions and getting right to the spiritual.
Okay. So it's like that I'm putting, I have a layer cake of layers of adversity and trauma and negative feelings.
Yes.
And I'm putting this icing on top like,
Exactly.
I am at peace. I've already arrived.
Right.
I am a spiritual
and not
being.
just and not just that. So that's harmful enough when you tell yourself that.
Okay.
But I think the most harmful way that this is perpetuated that I've seen in sort of the tapping community is when a practitioner actually states, like, you create your own reality. That there is a silver lining. This was a growth experience for you. Forgiveness. You have to forgive in order to, like, evolve, expand. The reason why you're not getting better is because you haven't forgiven.
Okay. So the interesting thing that I find about that is that when I've worked or seen people that have gone through transformative healing experiences,
yes,
they uncover for themselves.
Hello. That's what EFT is.
The wisdom, just like right now, Gabor series, the wisdom of trauma. But that's not for somebody else to tell you.
No.
That's not for somebody else to determine when you should forgive somebody or if you should.
Right.
Or for you to get over it now. It's time for you to get... Like that, I guess for me, it's such a... intrinsic, that needs to come from within me, from my own healing, from my own recovery, or whatever you want to say, my experience and my perspective of now I'm ready to take that next step. But coming from another person, and I might feel, this is the vulnerable part, is if somebody's telling me that I respect or think is whatever, smarter than me or knows more than me, then I might fall into believing that I should.
There's a huge power differential between somebody that's presenting themselves as an expert or a practitioner. Yes, yes, BB. She agrees. Someone that's presenting themselves as a practitioner or an expert, asking you to repeat something and you going along with it because you see them as the expert, the wise one, the one that's done all the training. Oh, they must be correct. Whereas the power of real EFT, not just the light versions of tapping that we see out there, it's all about honoring a person's process. It's all about honoring the client's words, their definitions, when their pace of coming to acceptance, their pace for coming up with what we call cognitive shifts instead of this reframing stuff. So ubiquitous in the tapping community. Here's the formula. You want the formula? Okay. Even though I feel bad about this particular problem, I love and accept myself and forgive myself for anyone who's contributed to this problem. And then the reminder phrase, I feel bad. And so at each point, it'll be different. I feel bad that I feel bad. Some version of I feel bad on all the points. Then we go to round 2, which is, maybe I don't feel so bad. Maybe there's something to learn. Maybe I'm okay. Maybe it's not as bad as I think it was. Trying to go to some place in the middle. And then 3rd round, keep going. Positive, light, and positive and wonderful. And oh, joy, joy, joy. Some version of that is out there, I guarantee you, in almost every one of these places where they have, so-called tapping, EFT tapping, scripts and videos.
Well, here's ultimately the test, right? Isn't ultimately the test whatever's happening in a tapping round? Tapping not only tunes us in, but often makes us feel better in the moment, right?
Sure.
In other words, so even if I said I tap and I love everything about everybody and I forgive everybody for everything and I love myself and adore all of those really positive things.
Yes.
That in that moment I might actually feel that and start to move toward experiencing it as I'm saying it.
Maybe.
But the challenge really is the next day.
The next day.
And in my life, am I now acting in accordance with that new bypassed perspective?
Right.
So to speak.
Well, that's why people say, well, how often do I have to keep tapping on the same thing? And I'm like, it's not about quantity at all. It's about quality. Because if you have to keep going back to that same script and tap on it again and again and again and again and again and again, it's because you're not really tapping on the particular aspects, your words for what you're feeling, the specific events that make you feel that way, which is really the healing power of EFT. That's what EFT really is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually remembering somebody that, many people would consider quite spiritually evolved, tapping on somebody. And in that moment afterwards, the person is, yes, I do love and adore myself. Yes, I fully accept myself.
I know.
And, and it looked like this amazing healing transformation happened. I mean, it looked like that. I remember it distinctly. And then I also know a couple days later getting a phone call from the person, who had backslid to just where they were and was feeling terrible about that because they had been public about how accepting they were and now it wasn't really resolved. So ultimately, you got to do what works for you. And we're just making recommendations for what we see has holding power. Right?
Yes. Holding power and also so that you don't give up and say that EFT didn't work for you. It could be that you're not doing real EFT. So I want you to keep that in mind. But there's a couple of studies that talk about the harm in toxic positivity and this idea that we should just, suppress all these things that we're feeling. There was a study where they showed they had two groups. They split up these people into two groups. They were shown very disturbing medical procedures, and their stress response in their bodies were being measured. And one group was asked to express their emotions while watching the medical procedure, and the other group was asked to suppress their emotions. And guess which one had the most stress response in their bodies?
The ones that pushed it down and suppressed and didn't acknowledge?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So the bottom line is, the more you suppress your emotions, the more damaging it has. The possibilities for damage are there. And EFT, we know that a lot of the power is for us to accept. It's called the setup statement. It's called the second half of the setup statement is this powerful part of accepting where you are, accepting where you are.
Right. Even though I'm feeling angry, I accept that I'm feeling angry.
Yeah.
Or even though I'm feeling angry, I still can accept myself. Or classically, even though I'm feeling really angry or feeling this shame, I still accept myself or deeply and completely accept myself. It's about moving towards self-acceptance, even with negative thoughts, negative emotions, and feelings.
Yeah, I want to talk about two things, and then let's go over some ways to help kind of mitigate and recover from toxic positivity and spiritual bypassing. And some tips for you. So I want to talk about how we got here as a society, because I think that that'll help people, and some of the tips include this. So I feel like we got here because of a misunderstanding of law of attraction. Mm-hmm. So wouldn't you agree?
I would agree, because in the law of attraction, it's the idea, like in homeopathy, like attracts like.
Yes.
Right? The more that I see things in a particular way, the more that I attract, or others around me see things similarly. So there is this kind of energetic like attracts like.
Right.
Okay? But
except that most law of attraction teachers that I've studied, and I've studied this since I was 10 years old. Yeah, our Sunday school teacher actually talked about the law of attraction. The way that I have from the people that really know what they're talking about about law of attraction, it's about accepting where you are first. That's the first step. And so we're doing that bypassing thing where like, nope, let's get to the good stuff. Right. Ignore.
I'm feeling not deserving of success, but I'm tapping on or affirming that I am success.
Yes.
I live a life of success, and every part of me is going, no, you don't. You have no history whatsoever of doing that. You've got no proof about that.
All right. Yeah. I mean, you just hit it in a nutshell. So that's one. And the second reason why I think how we got here in Western culture, how we're just mired in all of this, is social media.
Boy, talk about projection and talk about, God, just amazing. I mean, we were just watching, I don't even remember the recent show, but it was basically a documentary on social media about trying to have people be like Instagram, influencers, and just the projection of how people are made to feel as a result of watching these Instagrams. They aren't really leading that life.
No.
So it's this false projection and representation of themselves.
Yes.
And it's like, and I am one with the universe. And look at me with all my traveling throughout the world against this fake jet window that isn't real. And I'm not really feeling that way personally. But that's how I'm going to project it to the world and make you feel bad unless you're walking this path like me.
Right. And the mental health issues around young people that are into social media.
Self-comparisons are just huge.
Yeah, it's very destructive. Okay, so let's talk about ways and tips to sort of help you with this trend of toxic positivity and spiritual bypassing. 1, acknowledge what you feel. Yeah.
Even though I feel all this guilt, even though I feel this whatever, this
tap,
grief. Yeah.
and even if you don't know, some people turn to these sorts of little hacks and trying to find a shortcut because they don't know how they feel. And so we're saying tap on, even though I don't know what I'm feeling. Tapping will help you to tune into what it is that you do without the spiritual bypassing and toxic positivity.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes even tapping on the sound, even though I don't know how I feel, it just feels yucky. It just feels
exactly.
like, God, whatever it is.
I accept that's how I feel.
I accept that's how I feel. Yes.
All right, 2, tap on any guilt or shame that you're feeling about feeling negative emotions.
Mm-hmm. I shouldn't be feeling so bad about this. It's going well. My life is better than other people. Why am I feeling badly about this? I'm feeling guilty that I'm feeling bad and right.
Right.
Yeah, kind of those secondary emotions.
Exactly. Here's one. Tap on your addiction to social media. And also part of social media is FOMO, fear of missing out.
Right. Yep.
So I think everyone can stand to just take a social media check or track how many hours you're on social media every day and set yourself a goal. But the craving's going to be there. I'm going to miss out. Well, that's the time to tap. Mm-hmm. All right. 4, if you're a practitioner, please stop dismissing other people's pain by using inappropriate reframing and positive tapping.
Here's the thing with that is I really don't think that any practitioner is aiming.
No, I don't think it's intentional.
To do that. It's not intentional.
No.
But there is just such, how we talk about in trauma, the trauma pull?
Yeah.
There's like the positivity pull.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
There is. I want them to feel better.
Yes.
They want to feel better. They're asking me to feel better. I want them to feel better. And the easiest way to do that is to go to the light, is to go to the positive too quickly. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right.
It's not that there's not a timing and a place for doing that.
Right.
But often it's done as a bypass, just like we said. It's like,
And educate yourself. A good place for that is a level 3 training. Mm-hmm. If you only did level 1 and level 2, find a good level 3 EFT training. Mm-hmm. Get a mentor and really ask yourself, why is it so uncomfortable for you to tap on acknowledging someone's pain and using their words for it? It might be something in you that you're not acknowledging that needs to be resolved. Okay. Here's another tip. Write down 5 areas of your life. So in coaching, we call that the big 5. So areas include money, vocation, relationships, health and body, and your
spirituality.
Spiritual
connection, whatever that means for you.
Exactly. Which one right now has the most challenges? Which one would you say has like the worst things happening in that area right now? So target that so that you're going to see some signs of things improving, and then tap on what you actually feel about the problems that occur in that area of your life, and also get specific about the events that have happened and that are happening. And that's the best use of EFT. And if you can't, then please find a well-trained, trauma-informed, certified EFT practitioner to help you. So last is if you have a go-to response, which is to
I have bad karma.
blaming karma, going and always checking what's happening astrologically, saying that it's your aura or that other people have toxic vibes and that's why, or that other people around you aren't a star seed like you are, or that they aren't awake, that you need to ground. I'm gonna invite you to hold off on those spiritual things that you usually do, or those tactics, or that response.
It's a or an invitation or a challenge.
Yes, to tap on instead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See what's there for you. See what gifts are there for you in the challenge that you're having at a deeper level than anything that your conscious mind can say. So instead of going and doing some sage, try tapping and seeing what's underneath that, and get some get some,
and then smudge after. Yeah,
exactly.
If there's anything left. Yeah.
Right. All right. That was great.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of information.
Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for joining us today at EFT Nation. And remember that you can find show notes and previous epissodes at EFTtappingtraining.com.